Welcome everyone to this webinar from Inlumi and CCH Tagetik on connected financial and operational planning. In the next 45 minutes, we would like to introduce CCH Tagetik's Analytic Information Hub to you, which is a powerful feature included in the Tagetik platform. And we would like to give you a bit of background on the tool and give you a demonstration on how that can be used in practice. My name is Sander van Ypres. I'm a practice lead for the EPM consulting team at Inlumi in the Netherlands. I have 14 years of experience implementing EPM systems like Tagetik for consolidation, budgeting and forecasting, and advising clients how to get the most out of EPM technology to improve their planning and control cycle. I work with a team of specialists at Inlumi, specialists in implementation and advisory. One of those specialists is Paul Obbink, who joined us in this call. And we work closely together with CCH Tagetik, where Gerard van Rooyen is joining us as a solution architect. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Sander. My name is Paul Obbink, and my role is a functional EPM consultant within Inlumi. I've been working in and out with Tagetik for almost 7 years right now, in various roles, and my part in this webinar will mainly be the demo.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And Gerard, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, my name is Gerard van Rooyen. I'm working within Wolters Kluwer CCH Tagetik Benelux as a solution architect. In that role, I'm helping companies to translate their requirements into the best possible solutions with our platform. I'm working with CCH Tagetik for almost 10 years now, and I'm working in the CPM industry for various vendors already 20 years.
Okay, thank you, Gerard, and thanks, Paul and Gerard, for joining this webinar. Quick look at the agenda. We would like to give a short introduction on Inlumi and CCH Tagetik. Also tell a bit more about the Analytic Information Hub, what it is, what you can use it for. Then Paul will give a demonstration, interesting use case on FTE and employee expense planning, and give an insight in the administrative workspace behind it. And at the end, we will give a bit of insight in how to leverage Analytic Information Hub in your organization and some best practices. We will conclude with some room for questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise them, and we will address them at the end of this webinar. Okay, a bit in short about Inlumi. 4 things to remember. We are 100% focused on enterprise performance management, so aiming at improving planning and control cycle with the use of technology. We provide end-to-end services, so we help with advisory, defining your future EPM landscape, also implementing solutions around consolidation, budgeting, forecasting, reporting, to improve your planning and control cycle, and provide support after implementation to support your business as usual through both functional and technical managed services. We have highly experienced people because we focus 100% on enterprise performance management. We see that specialists like to work for Inlumi. And with this team of specialists, we serve over 250 customers with their EPM environment. We are available in 7 countries where we work with 150 employees and mainly focused on Europe, with also in Australia and US remote partners to provide 24/5 EPM support. So that's a bit in short about Inlumi. And one of the things that we take as a starting point when we look at EPM is that we think from a planning and control kind of planning and control kind of vision. So why do you use technology? That is to improve the steering of the company, and the technology that you use should really strengthen the planning and control cycle. So we believe that you should carefully decide whether to choose point solutions for specific parts of your planning and control cycle, for example, budgeting or consolidation reporting, forecasting or analysis, or make use of a connected and integrated platform. In the next slide, you can see that if you really see those different planning and control processes as something which should be connected to enable your organization to execute your strategy, that is something which a centralized EPM platform can support, where you don't have to move around data from one to support one process and the other. But you have a central EPM platform connecting the different processes using data from different sources in a controlled way. We really believe that CCH Tagetik is a platform which fits with its way of looking at planning and control, and that is why we're happy to work together with CCH Tagetik. So Gerard, would you like to introduce CCH Tagetik further?
Yes, thank you, Sander. So CCH Tagetik is in the business for over 20 years, so it's a very mature CPM vendor. And CCH Tagetik is since 2 years part of a large organization called Wolters Kluwer. So we are a mature company, part of a large organization, so we have worldwide coverage, and together we created for more than 1,200 customers up to 2,800 applications to serve our customers in any industry, as you can see in the slide. So we are industry agnostic, and what we do is always delivering CPM. So when we talk about CPM, Tagetik delivers a unified performance management platform to do all processes that are relevant for the Office of Finance and the CFO. And these processes include consolidation, budgeting, planning, reporting, analytics, and disclosure. And the fact that these are integrated in a single platform reduces a lot of systems in your organization, harmonizes the processes, and makes sure that your management cycle is supported by a CPM system that reduces a lot of time and effort to have the numbers right in your organization. So when we look at our platform, we can talk about the traditional CPM, what we are already doing for years and years to support your consolidation, financial close process, budgeting, dashboarding, and reporting from a central platform. 2 years ago, we started to integrate our analytical information into that traditional platform. With the Analytical Information Hub, we can extend to build applications that contain much more detailed data than ever before. So with this combination of traditional CPM and the Analytical Information Hub, we deliver a finance transformation platform. With this finance transformation platform, you can not only do your strategic and your tactical reporting and planning processes, but you can also integrate now operational planning and reporting activities to do, for example, profitability analysis on SKU level, or to do modeling and analytics to not only report the past, but also predict the future using artificial intelligence, or being able to do real integrated business planning, starting from a strategic level to a tactical level into an operational level and back. So to summarize, we had our existing platform, we added the new Analytical Information Hub to it, and with that, we now have a seamless link between operational and financial data. At the same time, all your finance applications built in the platform share the same metadata, can make use of unlimited dimensions across operational and financial data models. The nice thing about the Analytical Information Hub is that no scripting is required, as only basic SQL knowledge is required. So still, these applications are in the hands of finance people. And as we need to process a lot highly volume applications with a lot of records, the Analytical Information Hub is designed for fast performances using functionalities like application partitioning. And also with the Analytical Information Hub, our customers are ready to leverage advanced technology, not looking only at past results, but also predict and prescribe the future using artificial intelligence and machine learning. So if we are looking at what our customers today are doing with our Analytical Information Hub and how they are benefiting from them, I have 5 examples for you. So the first one is Helvetia, a large insurance company in Switzerland. So they have CCH Tagetik for reporting, including regulatory reporting for Solvency II. And they extended their data model to improve analysis on contract level information. So they are storing and capturing cost data, both and revenue data on a very low level, individual contract level per customers. And what they do with that is they can do allocation down to the lowest level to see the profitability at that level. Randstad is a CCH Tagetik customer for a lot of years already. They started with implementing consolidation, planning and reporting. And they added our IFRS 16 solution to be compliant with IFRS 16 regulations. And that is using the Analytical Information Hub to store all individual lease contracts in the system. So they can calculate the journal entries that are needed to report IFRS 16. Then the European Space Agency, it's a large organization that needs to plan 30 years ahead on thousands of projects, because they need to inform organizations that fund the European Space Agency how their money is spent. So they do that on a very detailed level, and they are processing millions and millions of records to plan each individual project. At Danone, they are doing profit and loss reporting with CCH Tagetik, and to gain more insight, they loaded detailed data in the Analytical Information Hub on 30,000 cost centers for 300 cost types. So they can do very detailed cost analysis, drilling down from their P&L in the financial application layer down to each individual line in the Analytical Information Hub. And last but not least, Vinci, which is a company in the construction area, an international company. They are doing more or less the same as Danone, but not with a profit and loss statement, but they are storing financial assets and liabilities at the lowest level, so they can connect from the balance sheet and drill down to the very lowest level to see each individual asset and each individual liability. Now I would like to hand over to Paul, who's going to show the use case for FTE and employee expense planning.
Okay, thank you. So for the demonstration, obviously, as already said, I will do a part where I'm actually gonna present the use case, and afterwards we'll focus a little bit on the admin side of the Analytical Information Hub to show as well how does it actually work on the background. To do that, obviously, I need to go to the tool. And for the ones that has never used Tagetik, this is the basic homepage of Tagetik. For the ones who already are using Tagetik might already know this. But the homepage of Tagetik actually consists of certain tiles, which are just app-like presentations of different functionalities, and they are totally amendable by your own insight and by your own organization. So at this point, let me introduce the company. I'm going to open here a report, And this report is the employee expenses per FTE per department. So as you can see, they make a split between the total wages, between the bonus, and between the other employee expenses. And as well, they have it per department and per quarter. The problem, mainly about this company, is that they want to analyze on department level, but they want to plan not on department level, but they want to plan on function level, which means there is one level deeper. They already have used all their custom dimensions, which means that they don't have time to have all their functions in their dimension. Therefore, the Analytical Information Hub is perfect. To do that first, obviously the system will need a mapping that connects the function towards the department. So as you can see in this report, it's just a simple data entry where I connect a function, for example, the reporting analyst, towards the department that it's in. So reporting analyst goes to finance, but a sales manager goes to sales, and a buyer as well goes to sales. This is just a simple input report that we will use later on. So how does it look like for the end user? The end user will get their normal planning process cockpit. And again, for the people who are listening who already know CCH Tagetik, they know that this is the standard user interface where we have per entity on the left side, we have a workflow embedded. The beauty about this workflow is that the workflow for the Analytical Workspace Information Hub is exactly the same as the workflow for the standard financial workspace. So that means that there's no difference from user side if they are working on the Analytical Information Hub or if they are working in the financial workspace. So first of all, if we look at this company obviously has different offices in North America, in Canada, in Europe, and in APAC. So, and at this point, I will just walk in towards the part that New York goes through. So New York has an input on FTE that they need to fill in, which is just a simple form that I'm going to open. And this form just shows from, okay, which entity all have New York employees. So in Berlin, there's a New York employee, but as well for New York, we have a certain, we have a John Doe, which is a financial controller, has an employee ID, a wage for the total of the year, a bonus percentage, and the availability, so the FTE actually in Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. As you can see, locate this finance manager. It's a new one, so the name is to be decided, and it will only be hired as from Q3, first for a half FTE and afterwards for a full FTE. So basically, that's how they bring in their own FTE. Then as well, there are external FTE. So external FTE, we see that on New York, we'll have a few network engineers. Their wage is 25,000 on average, and we are hiring a few externals. So we are hiring 4 FTE in Q1, but only 3 FTE in Q4. The same for Los Angeles, they hire a finance manager. Based on those detailed inputs on the functions and not on the departments, we have some general assumptions. So I'm opening the general assumptions. The general assumption is, for example, for a financial controller that we have the other employee expenses as a fixed amount for every quarter. As well, the finance manager, we only have for Q3 and for Q4 a fixed amount. And we see that in Q3, there will be a salary increase. We do this for every function that we have. Obviously, the list can be way longer, but it's just to show a certain example. So after I have done all my inputs in the forms, which I need to calculate more or less my FTE and my costs. And within this calculation, which is just runnable by clicking on the icon and clicking on run, Tagetik will start a few calculations that I have set up, based on the input that I have put. So to see the calculation overview, I will see at some point that all my financial controllers, they are suddenly mapped towards accounting. So this is the mapping that I showed you earlier that the financial controller is part of the accounting, but the reporting analysts are part of finance. And look here, the to be decided finance manager is as well only started in Q3 for the FTE. But I can see as well that the wage for the same finance manager is only starting in Q3 as well. And we see that there's no bonus. The bonus percentage we saw earlier will only be applied in Q3. So the bonus of this employee is 600 because it's 2% of 30,000. And the other employee expenses are obviously stated only in Q3 and Q4. So let me go back, because that's the calculation overview. But with the calculation overview, I do not have the mapping towards my financial layer yet. And my financial workspace layer obviously needs to be updated by department and not by function. So to create that, there's a technology that will update the financial layer and will obviously aggregate the rows that I have created into towards a good financial report. So if I then open the financial report, that is correct, I still have open here, I will see in the end here my total wages per department, my bonus per department, and my other employee expenses and my own FTE. You will see that suddenly here I have a half FTE more and 1 FTE more, which is obviously the finance manager. The beauty about the connection between the analytical workspace and the financial workspace is that I can easily drill through by this functionality into the total details. So as you can see, I can see that I have 4 FTEs or 4 persons and 4 FTEs based on these 25,750 that I can find back here in my overview as well on my accounting staff. You can see I have 4 FTEs, 25,750, and it automatically gets listed up here as well. So this is how how the analytical workspace can actually leverage you into having a higher granular reporting level while you plan way more detailed. So how does that look like from an admin perspective? Because after the financial report, obviously, we have put it towards the financial layer. So right now, I would like to do it on the admin side. And as Gerard already showed before, the admin side obviously has dimensions, and the analytical workspace gives us a higher number of unlimited, or actually unlimited dimensions. I have all my standard dimensions here in blue. My custom dimensions are 5 here in green, but as well I can add all kind of analytical dimension. So function for me is an analytical dimension where I can just quickly list the different functions that I have. And these functions I can link again towards the department. To show how the analytical workspace is actually embedded in the standard platform of Tagetik, you can see that it's just part of the standard admin workspace. So from the admin screen, I can easily just connect towards the analytical workspace, and I can just show what kind of workspaces that I have. At this point, in this example, I only have FTE planning, but there are obviously more user cases possible, like OPEX planning, CAPEX planning, but as well, as Gerard already showed, not only planning, there are all kind of opportunities to leverage the analytical workspace. I'm going to open the FTE planning. And as soon as I open the FTE planning, I see different data sets. And data sets are more or less just tables that hold a certain type of data that I have created. So as you see, we had the own FTE that we filled in, we had the external FTE that we filled in, and we had the general assumptions. They all hold data that I'm going to use later to create a total. Together, I have my mapping, that is the function to departments. We saw exactly the same report. So how does it then look like within the data set? If I click on total FTE, I can actually see my total data set. And my total data set consists of a few standard dimensions that I have here on the left. As you can see, the function, which is the analytical dimension, is there as well. But I as well can see that I have all my financial dimensions. So entity is a financial dimension, but the name is just a text that I added. The availability are just numbers that I added. And in this case, you can see that other employee expenses or the bonuses are all just separate numbers. So how am I able to transfer this one towards the financial workspace? Well, it's very easy. I can just go here into the financial workspace mapping. And here I can actually show that on the left side, you see my table input, where you see still the entity, the department, and the functions, and all the amounts that we had of my total FTE. So actually the information that the table holds. And I can just drag and drop them towards the exact same dimension that I would like to use. Obviously, I do not use all the dimensions in my data set. So I can, some parts as my scenario, I can just manually select already upfront from what kind of scenario do I want. As you saw as well, we are planning per Q1, Q2, etc. But obviously my average Q1, which is my FTE, is another account than my wage or my bonus or my other employee expenses. So how do I make that split? Well, that split is to simply drag and drop them towards all the amounts, and I can show here on which dimensions that I'm actually going to make a mapping. So my wage Q1 goes to account FTE 100 for the period of 3, and my wage Q4 goes to FTE 100, but on period 12. By simply mapping all these accounts towards the period, it's easy to run it towards the financial workspace. And in that case, it's very easy to transfer it up to a higher granular level. So far for my demonstration.
Okay, thank you, Paul. It was great to see Analytic Information Hub under the hood and look at the use case, see how it can be used in practice. Well, if we look at Analytic Information Hub, we really see that it could give a lot of value to organizations using CCH Tagetik to connect operational and financial planning. Because it supports this concept of connected planning and control, where we also started with in the beginning, which really improves insight and efficiency. And you don't have to move data around from one system to the other. You can really support a part of the planning process, which some organizations do in Excel, or sometimes use different tools to do that. And in this way, you can really use a single platform to support different planning processes at different level of granularity. What is also interesting to know is that the Analytic Information Hub both supports to have tailor-made solutions or apps for your specific planning process, but also has pre-packaged solutions, for example, around IFRS, but there will be also pre-packaged solutions around, for example, FTE or employee expense planning. So this is really interesting and also a powerful feature. Then it's also, I think, good to know that CCH Tagetik continues to focus on the modernization of finance, really focused on the Office of Finance, but also beyond the Office of Finance to support connected planning processes. And that means that CCH Tagetik is also a future-proof platform to use for EPM and planning and control processes. So how to get started with the Analytic Information Hub and CCH Tagetik? I think that we really believe that it's really important to begin with the end in mind. Think about your whole EPM landscape from a planning and control point of view. What are the different processes that you have in scope? To what extent do you aim to connect those processes? And then define your EPM landscape. that vision. And of course, in the end, to get there, it's really important to think big, but to start with small steps. We have some concepts where we can help you with also defining roadmaps, but also help you define guiding principles to make sure that the decisions which are taken along the way are still in line with the bigger picture which you want to achieve. For example, a single version of the truth is a concept which is simply said, but whether you're going to realize that is really depending on the decisions that are made along the way, and also some decisions under the hood and some configuration decisions taken by specialists during the process. This vision is also important to connect to the right stakeholders and not having a few people in isolation develop a vision of what should the EPM landscape look like, because you have different stakeholders for those different EPM processes and for different stakeholders for the planning and control cycle. So it's really important to get the right commitment, to ensure buy-in from some key stakeholders. This can be management responsible for specific processes, but can also be some key users and key suppliers of those processes. And third, but not least, is to gather the right people. Of course, from your organization, you need to get the right people involved with insight in the processes and the systems. Also, who can represent the people with requirements towards the future state. And of course, you need the right specialist in CCH Tagetik, and you can maybe benefit from some help from people who have steered projects like this before. So these are a couple of suggestions for further steps, and then we would like to address some of the questions. We have received a couple of questions already. Maybe if someone has still some questions, please feel free to share that with us, and we will address questions that we have. So, are there any questions?
I've been looking at the questions. There are some questions coming up, so I would like to take the opportunity to answer those. Let me see. The first question is about getting data into the Analytical Information Hub. How to get? What are the possibilities to get data in? So what Paul showed you is that it's possible to do manual data entry to get numbers into the Analytical Information Hub, mainly for planning planning processes to support that. But also ETL functionality of Tagetik is available to get large volumes of data into the Analytical Information Hub, and also to get data from the Analytical Information Hub into the financial layer, as Paul showed in his presentation. So to summarize, both manual data entry and loading data is possible. Another question that I saw in the list is if it's possible to create reports on data that is in the Analytical Information Hub. And the answer is yes, it's possible to create those reports. Some of the reports that Paul showed in his presentations are forms or reports built directly on the Analytical Information Hub. And the idea is that the same reporting engine to use for your financial reports can also be used for reports on the Analytical Information Hub. And also you can create reports where data is combined, parts of it coming from the Analytical Information Hub, other parts coming from the financial layer. And the idea behind it is that for an end user, it should not matter where the data sits, as long as they can consume it and report on it. And the last question I see is also on reporting, but then for disclosure management. The question is, can I also use Analytical Information Hub information in disclosure management? And the answer is yes, because you can create reports on the Analytical Information Hub data, and these reports are all stored with the other reports using the same reporting engine and all these reports can be used and reused in disclosure management to have them in Word documents or PowerPoint presentations. So I believe that were all the questions that were asked.
Okay, thank you, Gerard. And we would like also to thank everyone who joined this webinar. Well, it was a pleasure to share the insights from this webinar to you. In case you would like to continue conversation about EPM, about CCH, Tagetik, or Analytic Information Hub, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to get in touch. Well, we look forward to invite you for our next webinar. Wish you all a great day. Thank you and bye.